Well, Taurus, it's great to have your company again. I'm Dadhichi from astrology.com.au. Welcome to those of you who are new. And I'm just having a look at your horoscope here for the month of July. It's just a huge time celestially. We had that solar eclipse last month here in your third house in the sign of Cancer. And if you keep your eye here on the transiting moon, which starts off in your seventh house of relationships this month, quickly moves to this lunar eclipse. That's the full moon taking place in your ninth house. So we see a swing here from the third house, which is your conscious mind, to this ninth house, which is one of the intuitive mind sectors. So this is one of the difficult things for you being born in the sign of Taurus, is the inability sometimes to trust your intuitive self when it comes to decisions. There it is there, fifth and sixth, and then making contact with all of these retrograde planets, which can be a little bit difficult because we see that here in this ninth house is where all of these planets, this is Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto retrograde. Here you see Mercury retrograde at the beginning of the month, Venus already having moved out of that retrograde cycle. And this has to do with your finances. So I'm wondering whether, because this is your ruling planet, moving there through the finance and value sector. We talk about value being very, very important. For any of you born under the sign of Taurus, it is an earth sign, a material sign. And so this movement, I think this is the theme for you this month, learning to move from that rational way of seeing things to the intuitive ninth house. Still, that's going to take some time. And I guess what this says is it's a time of review, going back and studying when you had to make big decisions in life. How did the rational mind work for you? I mean, I'm not saying you don't use a rational mind. Here we see Mars is also pushing you, especially after the 13th when Moon makes its contact there. Mars in your 12th house, which is the intuitive house as well. This is a very spiritual house, giving you a push in that direction. You're apprehensive, shown by the retrograde planets. Fortunately, after the 14th, you see Mercury now no longer in its retrograde phase, in its natural third house in the sign of Cancer. Cancer, along with the other water signs, is very, very intuitive. So I'm hammering this whole intuitive aspect of your life this month. You need practice to do that. It's not something you're going to do straight away. There's the contact with the moon and Venus in your second house, and then straight away making contact with the North Node, the karmic point in your horoscope. 3 points in your second house means that period around 16th to the 18th is going to be all about the financial side of your life. Then Moon moving into that conjunction with Mercury, very, very imaginative, although there's some challenges there, as you can see, with Mars at the right angle. And then the new moon taking place right at the last couple of degrees of this third house. There it is there. And that third house, I keep repeating myself, is your conscious mind. So could it be that you're starting to find some breakthroughs there in terms of the way you make your decisions, the way you communicate to other people, rather than relying on this top-heavy part of your being, sort of getting in touch with the heart part of yourself. Breathing is good for that. Mercury has some relationship to that. Breathing in, breathing out, just having that element of trust. Trust is a very important part of that intuitive process. Intuition means trusting that the decision, even if it's not wholly based on rational facts and figures, that there's a sense that what you're going to do will work out, that what you're going to do is right. Here we see the opposition to Mars. Bit of trouble there in your workplace relations, perhaps, around the 26th, 27th. Let me stop this for a moment because it's sort of running away with me. And I want to talk about this a little bit as well, because the Moon-Mars combinations here show us at 2 points in the month, at least in the conjunction and the opposition, very powerful forces at play there in your workplace, the people that work for you. Here we see that is offset by a very, very nice trine aspect to your ruler here. So in a sense, again, use your intuition as to when you have those important meetings. If there are things that you're not happy with at your work, especially towards the end of the month, you can come out on top as long as you're not bringing out the baseball bat to hit people over the head with. You could be obstructed there, but use that intuition, use the breathing to break through into those areas that you feel you're justified in doing so. That new moon is going to be very, very telling. The sun makes its way into your 4th house on the 28th. So a whole new yearly cycle commencing here to do with your domestics, to do with relationships with the maternal people in your life, mother, aunt, grandmother, those sorts of things are important. And speaking of grandparents, grands, the North Node, South Node have to do with the grandparents. Here you see the South Node transiting the 8th house. 8th house has to do with shared money, money that's owed to you, bequeathed to you, taxes, annuities, retirement plans. And this 8th house, having the South Node here, is very, very important in the context of the theme for you this month. That is the rational mind versus the intuitive mind, Taurus. So it's about your security. It's always about security with the Taurus. But this is interesting here too, because there may be something tied in with what you feel is owed to you, maybe some maternal wealth or hereditary income that might come into play at this time. Let's just see where the moon and whether it triggers that towards the end. It may not actually take place, but I think it does. It actually comes full swing here into the 8th house, right at the tail end of the month. So I think that's when those issues may start to play out. The final thing I'd like to say is you've got to get into those breathing exercises, because we see here just after Mercury's gone direct, down here in this 3rd house of thinking, there's going to be a very powerful opposition to Pluto. Pluto is your partnerships. So that intuition can be carried across many, many different areas of your life this month. In that last couple of days of the month, this is going to have a lot to do with the relationships. Pluto rules your 7th house of significant relationships, business partnerships, so on and so forth. So don't push things with the rational mind, breathe it through, trust your intuition. I'm not going to say you're going to be right every single time, but if you want to lift those big 200-pound weights, you've got to start with the 10-pound weights first. So practice your intuition on small things, and I think you're going to start to see some really, really good results from here on in. Take a look at the text-based monthly report at astrology.com.au, my site. Drop me a line here if you've got any specific technical questions, if you're learning astrology. Subscribe, and I'm looking forward to your company again next month. Stay safe. Bye-bye.